Hello and welcome to News Now. I am Deji Badimasi. Nigeria's two main oil workers' unions, Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Pengasan, and the Nigeria Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers have embarked on a 3-day warning strike to press home their demand for the speedy passage of the Petroleum Industry Bill and the reduction of petrol pump prices in the country to reflect falling global oil prices. The unions are demanding that turnaround maintenance be carried out on the country's 4 refineries as well. Now, that is not all of their demands. They also have some other demands that directly impinge on their own interests. Earlier, we spoke to the head of the Lagos Zonal Office of New Penk, Tokunbo Korede, and here are the issues he tabled before us.
We also we talk about PTI, Petroleum Training Institute. We need the autonomy for this institute in order to train the employees of oil and gas workers so that we'll be more competent and we can also be more productive to the industry. The government promised to give consent to that, and the infrastructure and amenity needed for that place to function very well as an institute is not being provided. We want government urgent intervention in this matter again. We also talk about the PTDF. The PTDF since 2012, our members that are working in that PTDF, they've not been promoted since 2012 to date. Even the arrears that are supposed to go along with it has not been paid. So we also put it on the table for discussion to know reason why there have not been any promotion and why they've not been compensated for such. These are part of the issue that we put on the table for this thing. Then we also condemn casualization in entirety. We can't believe that this country in this century, casualization should be a policy everybody will be embracing. In the oil and gas industry as of today, none of the companies is employing direct staff. They are into the employment of contract workers. We have somebody that call himself paymaster, called contractor, who will be raking a lot of millions into his pocket at the detriment of innocent Nigerians. We have somebody who collect 50,000 naira as a take-home on individual, while the person will be given stipend of 10,000. He will be going home with 40,000 naira different without doing anything. Then this is called slave labor. We condemn it. We said there must be eradication of the casualization in this oil and gas industry. If at all it's happening in other places, but in our industry, we can't take it any longer. Because it has been the practice, all the IOC members and also the stakeholders in the industry is embracing. Then, something also happened again. An officer of the union that was employed and also elected on the platform of NUPENG from Lagos Zone, without the consent of the union, without any recourse to the union, the guy was transferred to Port Harcourt Zone. What happens to your own jurisdiction, where you have the mandate of the workers to lead them? We call for the reversal of this. The company concerned, now, stood adamant and said, no going back. And again, in Pegasin, Zonal Secretary of Port Harcourt, one comrade, Mrs. Ilo, was also transferred from Port Harcourt to Lagos, who has the mandate to lead the workers in Port Harcourt Zone. Without any recourse to the union, we call for the status quo and also the reversal of that decision. The next thing we are giving is sack. They just terminated the appointment of that officer. When the termination is being thrown here and there to the leadership of the union, what's there going to be the fate of the followers? These are the issues we placed on table before the government. GMD of NNPC have intervened. PAMSEC of Minister of Petroleum Resources have intervened. Also, the Minister of Labor and Productivity has also intervened. And with this intervention, no resource is produced.
Now, reactions have been trailing the action of the unions. We asked an energy expert what he makes of the demands of the unions and how the issues in Nigeria's petroleum industry can be resolved. Here is what he told us.
Well, the most reasonable demand of the union is that the petroleum industry bill should be passed. Petroleum industry bill, the PIB, holds the ace when it comes to oil and gas development in Nigeria. It has been hanging for more than 6 years, and it's been discouraging investors. Even the traditional business friends, the international oil companies, are cleverly divesting, especially Shell, under the guise of encouraging Nigerians to take over in line with the local content law. But the real truth is that they are actually living the sin and investing in better climes, Parity pricing, fine, but what you don't have, you can give. We import 87% of our petroleum products into Nigeria, so you cannot control the price at which you get it. Secondly, Nigeria, especially, has refused, I use that word refused, over the years to add value to our primary product, which is the crude oil. You export it all out, and whatever, the refineries are operating at very minimal capacity. Those that were even given private sector licenses, 18 of them, none of them has even done front-end engineering, let alone get into what we call FID, financial investment decision. So the third reason is that the Naira has been devalued at such a bad time as this. The value that I expect that by January, if nothing is done, Naira will sell for 220 Naira to the dollar. Now, the real issue is that what should we be doing? What we should be doing is that the Labour Congress or Union, the NUPENG and Pengasin, and interested labor organization should go beyond calling the workers out on strike. They should help this government by submitting a new template that they feel is correct and will lead to development. Why am I saying that? It's since the government, the federal government as at now, has lost it. Lost it in the sense that come January 1, there will be pain on households in Nigeria. Our budgeting is 72% recurrent, 28% capital. I wouldn't know what you want to do with that. Then you have devalued. Unemployment is on the increase. There's a lot of Nigerian skilled workers that are underemployed, that are being paid below the minimum wage. The minimum wage itself is not helpful in any way. Now, calling out a strike will inflict more pain.
While the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) has assured that the 3-day strike action embarked upon by the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria Pengasin and of course NUPENG, that's the Nigeria Natural Gas Workers Union, now will in no way affect the distribution and sale of fuel to the public. Group General Manager, Group Public Affairs Division of the NNPC, Ohi Alegbe, in a statement Monday said the corporation was already in talks with the leadership of the different unions with a view to resolving the crisis. He said the unions have agreed they would not disrupt the fuel supply and distribution system with its ongoing strike, blaming the action on anti-labor issues by some of the international oil companies, IOCs. Alegbe assured Nigerians that petroleum products are available for supply across the nation and also discouraged panic buying. Governor Ibrahim Gaidam of Edo State Monday relaxed the curfew in Damaturu, the state capital in northeast Nigeria, after a wave of attacks by violent Islamist sect Boko Haram 2 weeks ago. The governor had during the attack declared a 24-hour curfew in the town but had reviewed it to between 6 p.m. and 7 a.m. after the first 24 hours. Gaidam in a statement said the curfew had been further reviewed to be between 8 p.m. and 6 a.m. daily. He said the curfew review followed consultations with heads of law enforcement agencies in the state. The governor also urged residents to continue to cooperate with security agents and remain vigilant. The founder of the Synagogue Church of All Nations, Prophet Temitope Joshua, has again failed to appear at the coroner's inquest into a building collapse at his Lagos church. TB Joshua had been called to give evidence at the hearing Monday, but his lawyer Lateef Fagbemi asked for him to be excused because of a pending High Court application. Lawyers to Joshua, who has consistently blamed the collapse on sabotage, are attempting to stop the inquest, arguing that the coroner has exceeded his powers to call him as a witness. Coroner Oyetade Komolafe accepted Joshua's absence pending the High Court session. Now, last week, the coroner dismissed an application by the pastor who was seeking a temporary suspension of the inquest. Expert witnesses have told the hearing that there was no sign of an explosion or sabotage of the building, which collapsed September 12, killing 116 persons, most of them South Africans visiting the church at the time. The inquest was adjourned until Wednesday. Nigeria's federal government has condemned Sudan's decision to repatriate 30 Nigerian students over fears they were infected with the Ebola virus. Ogbole Ode, who is a spokesperson of the country's foreign Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Monday confirmed that 30 Nigerians were repatriated by the Sudanese authorities last week. He described the action as erroneous and unfortunate and said the Nigerian government was seeking appropriate redress from Sudanese authorities. Nigeria, of course, which was declared Ebola-free on the 20th of October by the World Health Organization after the 42-day observation period, has not recorded any new Ebola cases. Still on Ebola, the first batch of serum therapy, which is a treatment made from the blood of recovered Ebola survivors, has reached West Africa. Liberia, which is one of the three nations worst hit by the heat in West Africa, that's by the outbreak in West Africa now, is the first country to receive the serum. Health officials in the country say they have already begun using the serum supply to treat affected patients. Doctors hope the experimental treatment could help combat the virus that has been sweeping West Africa and killing thousands of people. They'll monitor how safe and effective the serum treatment is while scientists explore other Ebola treatments. Up to 10 December now, up to the 10th of December, 6,598 people had been reported as having died from the disease. That's quite a bad one. Well, we'll take a short break now. When we come back, we'll turn to business. Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on TV360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions. Welcome back. Brent crude oil hit a fresh 5-year low close to $60 a barrel on Monday after producer group OPEC restated its determination not to cut output despite a global fuel glut, but the North Sea benchmark later rallied to around $63. Now, OPEC Secretary General Abdullah Al-Badri said the bounce was partly speculative buying and partly a reaction to news that Libya's two biggest oil ports has shut due to fighting between armed factions allied to the country's two rival governments. Oil prices have collapsed over the last 6 months as high-quality light crude from North America has overwhelmed demand. The Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries has kept production steady, worried that any reduction in its output would have little impact on price and instead means surrendering market share. The Nigerian telecommunications industry attracted $6 billion in foreign direct investment between 2011 and 2013. This is according to the federal government of Nigeria. Speaking at the 2015 ministerial platform in Abuja, the Minister of Communications Technology, Omobola Johnson, said the ICT sector contributed $50 billion to the country's current $510 billion GDP. The minister said the communications satellite put in the orbit by the government in alliance with China Great Wall Industry Corporation in 2011 was already on the path of privatization. Johnson said the ministry has also signed a memorandum of understanding with 5 states for its Smart States initiative. The states are Lagos, Cross River, Bayelsa, Ondo, and the Federal Capital Territory. Now, by the MOUs, the states undertake to significantly reduce charges on telecommunications operators, while the operators undertake to roll out more infrastructure to ensure efficiency and better quality of services. Other states that have indicated interest in the initiative are Anambra, Delta, Gombe, and Osun. Governor of Edo State in southwest Nigeria, Ayodele Fayose, has presented an 80.774 billion naira 2015 budget to the State House of Assembly. The budget, which was presented Monday, represents 77.7% of the 2014 budget of 103.8 billion naira of former Governor Kayode Fayemi. Lawmakers from the All Progressives Congress were, of course, absent at the plenary, which was filled to capacity by members of the People's Democratic Party and, of course, government officials. Fayose said the size of the budget was informed by his government's desire to live within its means and go with an achievable estimate. While calling for the expeditious passage of the bill, he said the budget would be funded by revenue from the Federation allocation, internally generated revenue, and other sources. Now, with the absence of the APC lawmakers, only the 7 PDP lawmakers in the Assembly actually sat to receive the budget. The Ugandan maid who was secretly filmed beating, kicking, and stamping on an 18-month-old baby has been sentenced to 4 years in prison for assault on a child. Jolly Tumuhiwe, 22, was found guilty last week in a case that has managed to garner global interest. A Kampala High Court sentenced her on Monday. Chief Magistrate Lillian Bucham told Tumuhiwe she had committed an unjustifiable and inexcusable crime. She said the sentence was appropriate in light of the ruthlessness exhibited on an innocent, helpless child. On Friday, she said the attack was revenge after she was beaten. That's the nanny now said it was actually a revenge after she was beaten by the child's mother. The mother has since denied the accusation. The court dropped charges of torture, which would have given her at least 10 years in prison. The video footage which prompted the case came from a camera the child's father, Eric Kamanzi, had installed in his home after noticing his daughter was bruised and limping. The disturbing video has been seen or shared hundreds of thousands of times on social media. Police in Australia say at least 2 people have been killed after an armed gunman held staff and customers hostage at a cafe in Sydney. Australian commandos stormed the Lane's cafe, ending the 16-hour siege by the gunman, who was identified as Manheron Moniz, an Iranian refugee. Paramedics carrying stretchers raced towards the cafe moments after the commandos entered the building. Several people were injured. Unconfirmed local reports say the gunman was among those who died. Before the end of the siege, the suspected gunman had demanded that a flag of Islamic State, the Sunni militant group, which recently seized territory in Syria and Iraq, be delivered to the cafe. Australian Prime Minister Tony Abbott condemned the attack, which left the Sydney town shaken. To football now, English FA Cup champions Arsenal have been handed what some football analysts describe as a more favourable opponent in this year's UEFA Champions League draws. The Gunners, who in the last 4 years have faced the likes of Barcelona, AC Milan and Bayern Munich, have been drawn against Arsene Wenger's former team AS Monaco. The Gunners will play the first leg at the Emirates Stadium on the 26th of February before travelling to the Stade Louis II 3 weeks later for the second leg. Manchester City were drawn against Barcelona in the Champions League last 16 for a second consecutive year. Chelsea will play Paris Saint-Germain, while champions Real Madrid will face Schalke. Last season's beaten finalists Atletico Madrid will take on Bayer Leverkusen, and Bayern Munich will play Shakhtar Donetsk. Juventus face Borussia Dortmund, while Basel are up against Porto. Now, Rome has confirmed it will enter a bid to host the 2024 Summer Olympic Games. Italian Prime Minister Matteo Renzi made the announcement Monday at an event in the city attended by the head of the Italian Olympic Committee. Amid speculation about rival applicants to host the games, Kenya has emerged as a potential bidder. If successful, Kenya would be the first African nation to host the Olympic Games. However, bids need to be made by cities, and Kenya has not formally announced a prospective host city. The formal applicant city phase for the 2024 games actually will begin in September 2015, with a deadline for cities to make their application set for January the 8th, 2016. Well, what can I say of the Kenyan bid? We wish them all the best of luck. Well, maybe Nairobi will be the best city to host it. We'll just wait and see if Kenya will be the first African country, and of course, if Nairobi will be the first African city to host the Olympic Games. It's quite a massive one. Well, that's it on News Now. We thank you very much for joining us. We're back again shortly.